Welcome back to Conversations with Neighbors. If you've picked up the August edition of the Neighbor paper, you'll probably recognize today's guest. Susan LaRosa is our cover of this month. We got to share a little bit of Susan's story in the paper, but there's so much more I wanted to talk about. Susan started her career in education at just 19 years old and eventually became a director of education, helping lead a system responsible for 56,000 students and overseeing the construction of 36 schools. And when that career came to an end, she didn't exactly slow down. She spent the next chapter of her life giving her time and experience back to our community through Rose of Sharon, Hill House Hospice, York Regional Police Initiatives, and a long list of other organizations. So today we're going to go beyond the cover story. I wanted to hear more about Susan's life, what she's learned about leadership, why community matters to her so much, and what continues to drive her to contribute. Susan, welcome to Conversations with Neighbors.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
Okay, so you started teaching at just 19 years old. How does a 19-year-old stand up in front of the classroom? Like, how does that start? What was 19-year-old Susan like?
Actually, at 19, I signed my first contract, and I had my birthday, so I was 20 when I first started. And at the time, in Cornwall, I was born and raised in Cornwall, they were opening a new junior high school, and they wanted a home economics teacher or a family studies teacher. So I agreed to go to summer school to get that first qualification and began teaching in grades 7 and 8. And we had 600 students, but 300 girls that I taught home economics to my first year. It was an interesting time because everyone was new to the program, so I had to do it with all the classes and whatever, but it wasn't too intimidating. If you have a personality where you appreciate people and students, and it worked out well.
Did you know that you always wanted to be in education? Like, when did that come top of mind and then start to pursue it, right? 20 years old and you hop right into it?
Well, as a child, I always played school with anybody who wanted to play school, and I was the teacher and giving them orders and whatever. So I felt that, it was one of those careers that I thought that I would be good at, for sure.
And even through your career, you continued to go back to education, right, and educate yourself. Why did you think that was important? Where did that drive come from? Talk to me kind of that experience too.
Well, I think I've always been a lifelong learner, and we know that things are changing so fast all the time in the world, and I certainly needed to be better qualified to continue if I was going to continue in education and in my career. And at the time, you didn't need your BA, but I got it through extension and then realized that if you're going to be in any kind of a leadership position in a school district, you certainly needed your master's in education. And I came from a family that had 2 IGA grocery stores, so I always had a business interest. So when the opportunity came up that I was able to take the executive MBA at Queen's and still keep my full-time job, I took that advantage, and it was a great learning experience. Yeah,
that's being a lifelong learner is such a underrated skill or drive to have. I think a lot of times, for whatever reason, people could be like, oh, I'm done school, I'm done learning, right? Mm-hmm. It should be a lifelong pursuit, right? You're kind of missing out on many paths and journeys if you don't have that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, too, what I hoped to do in my career was if an opportunity came up, that I was qualified for it. Yeah. So that's why I continued doing, taking the extra courses and the other degrees, and so I was ready.
Yeah, and then so that opportunity did come up. You become director of education. Talk to me about maybe that process. When did the kernel of thought or the vision come to be, and then the kind of the process of it, or did it just come to you and you were ready?
Yeah, I think that I started here. I had an opportunity to be with the school district here in York Region Catholic in the late 80s as an assistant superintendent in human resources. I was here for a couple of years and had the privilege of hiring 750 teachers in those 2 years. But my mother was still in Eastern Ontario and not getting any younger. So an opportunity came up in the Brockville, Smith Falls area. Yep. for superintendent of education. So I took that opportunity because I was going to be able to develop my skills in a smaller board in every department.
Yes.
Okay. And so when I was doing that job, and at the same time I got my MBA, so I was ready. All of a sudden, I got some phone calls saying the directorship is open in York Catholic. Are you going to apply? Are you going to apply? And I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready for the challenge.
Yeah.
And so I applied, and I think I had an advantage because I wasn't an internal candidate and I wasn't an external candidate. I was both because I had been there.
Yes.
And so on. So it worked in my favor for sure.
And so you find yourself in a position where you're overseeing 56,000 students, right? And when I read that, it's like, wow, that's a mind-blowing number. Are you thinking about that at the time, or you're just in it and you're just doing what's in front of you? Or like, what does it feel to be, influence responsible, overseeing that many students?
Well, coming from a small district, obviously in Eastern Ontario, communication was quite simple. All right, because you almost saw everybody, often. The thought of, okay, I've got to communicate to this many different facilities, this many staffs and whatever, was a little bit, you had to be strategic. All right. So eventually what I did was, because I couldn't get to 100 and some schools, I had the first PA day of the year, I had a video that they showed in every school talking about where we were going that year. And at the end of the year, I'd have another video and say, this is where we've been.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is where we're going. So it wasn't that overwhelming for me because we had worked out a way of communicating to everybody. Because I know, in my experience, everyone has to feel part of the bigger picture. And if the schools are all isolated, they're not feeling part of the big picture. So you needed to get them not isolated.
Yeah, it's just like clear communication, right? Like let everyone be aware of, what's going on, where you're going, and then how did you do, right? So honing those skills. And then I think about like difficult decisions that need to be made, right? That affect that many students, that many teachers, right? How did you think about kind of that process? Obviously, over time, you sharpened those skills of how to do it, but maybe talk about kind of that responsibility, what that was kind of like, knowing the influence of decision making. True.
I think too that right from the beginning, I changed the 3 R's. Okay, and they were relationships. So I went about building relationships internally, externally with the other stakeholders and whatever. So when you're tapping other people's talents as well, decisions become a little easier because you have full information. You're not making decisions in isolation and so on. So I think that has served me well. Building relationships. And I've always believed that everybody has, talent, God-given talent. And in some organizations, if people aren't asked to share them, you never know they have the talents. So in the environment we tried to establish was, no, everybody needs to share their talents. They're important into the bigger picture and so on.
And another amazing thing is overseeing the construction of 36 schools. What did that experience teach you about really getting things done?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit of experience at getting things done and knowing the building bylaws and whatever of 9 municipalities, because we were building in 9 municipalities and so on. There were times I thought actually I was in the construction business, because and the challenge there, as much as everyone likes the new school, okay, you had to do boundary changes. So people that were in this school had to go to school. Why? That always provided some anxiety for parents and children and whatever. So that was an interesting phenomenon. Every time we had to, do a new boundary for a new school, as much as a new school is exciting, there's some kind of connection to the old school.
Yeah, it changes the landscape. You're not just putting it in a place where it doesn't affect anything else, right?
That's right.
There's no need for a school there. there.
That's
You
right.
need to put it where it's.
Yeah, well, I did get. I'm a bit of a taskmaster when it comes to that. Meeting timelines and so on. So I did get a lot of experience that
Yeah.
we need it done. And also there were times when construction and supply and demand was a little different, so we had to delay opening. Well, that's another whole scenario. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, and so on. So it was an interesting. I loved it.
Yeah.
I really did.
I would love to know like how you felt internally from school 1, the process, and school 36, right? Like just think about like how much mastery you have built after
right.
36 of them.
Yeah.
As you develop being a leader, do you think there's some things that separate a good leader from a bad leader that, are easy to kind of point out? Maybe easy to point out, not easy to do, but what separates a good leader from a bad leader?
I don't know what separates, but my approach was always that, collaboration was the answer. Okay, that we needed to collaborate, and that we were all learners together, so that we needed to work at solving, whatever the concern was, the crisis was, or whatever, and have an environment where people could develop their own their talents as well. Okay. It would be a pretty sad organization if all the decisions came from the director or the CEO, okay, who, may have limited experience in something. It reminds me of a story, if I don't mind sharing it. I read this in a book. This publishing company was having a difficult time with all their orders coming in late, being delivered late. People were complaining and complaining. So the CEO thought, well, will I have a big, senior meeting about this? Or will I just go down to the shipping department and ask them what the problem is? So he went down to the shipping department and said, all the orders are getting there late. What seems to be the problem? They said the boxes are too small. They increased the size of the boxes, and the shipments were always on time. So I always believe that you go to the people who are doing the role. Okay, like the teachers are in the classroom. Okay, the principals are trying to lead their school. So what are their challenges? So you need to have great conversations with people to collaborate.
Yeah. Don't be just top down doing that. Go to the root of it all, right? And that's where you're going to get the real perspective and like the real bottlenecks.
Well, the problem is if you're the one, and you're the leader and you're given all the directions, okay, people are just going to work and going home. They're not passionate about anything. They're just, I'm just doing what I'm told.
Yeah, they want to feel part of something.
Yeah, you want to feel part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let's talk about life after education. So when you retired, was the original plan to slow down, or was it always, no, we're going to maybe even ramp it up?
Well, I think when I retired, okay, I did, like when you have the job like a director for 15 years, you're fairly busy doing, and meetings and whatever. I did want to give back to the community. All right. So I had intentions of, doing volunteer work and whatever. I do have a part-time little job where I'm a senior strategist with a national organization of education and business. I was on one of their focus groups for many, many years. And when I retired from my job, they asked me to be on the management team. So I really enjoy that because it's a lot of organizing. And we have a conference coming up in Jasper and whatever. So we go to 2 different places in Canada every year. So I knew I wanted to do that. I couldn't retire and just, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I knew that was in the works when I retired, and then I knew that I wanted to get involved in Rose of Sharon. I've always been an advocate for women and girls and whatever. So yeah, and then I wanted to stretch myself and join Hill House Hospice, their board, kind of thing. So
What led you to Rose of Sharon and connected you to that organization?
Well, as a director, Rose of Sharon was part of our district at the time. Okay, I didn't really have time to get too involved with Rose of Sharon because of the many other demands of the role. So when I retired, and as I say, as an advocate, I wanted to get involved and share what I could, and knowing that I would still have a bit of a connection to the school district as well.
Yeah. And A thing that I want to touch on with Rose of Sharon specifically is kind of their move, right? Because it was a big, big thing. And, you go there now and it's just like, oh my goodness, like this is the most unbelievable place. Talk to me about that process. I think it was like a 15-year lease that you helped negotiate. Just share anything that you can about that process, the need coming up, the negotiation, the move.
Yeah. So when I got on the board, was appointed to the board, there was always a movement. There was always a desire to have a better place, to have a bigger place, or whatever. But it was very difficult to find something that we certainly could afford, and certainly that we had the wherewithal to take it on. And so COVID-19 hit and whatever. Then there was a lot of empty buildings around, but they were not suitable. Gyms were empty, but the ceilings were too high. We couldn't afford to retrofit them and whatever, So we came upon this that was an accounting firm and an insurance firm, and it was a 2-story. The one challenge was that there's no elevator here, okay? We looked at it again, and the bottom, we didn't really need that much space, okay? But we said to the landlord, what are you going to do with the downstairs if we rent the upstairs? Well, so we said, well, let's talk about that. So they were very generous with giving us some free rent downstairs for several years. So what did we do to overcome the elevator thing? Because it couldn't be put in. We got a commercial chairlift. And it's in there, and it's all accessible and whatever. So we've been very lucky with doing things, but it was such a relief to get into a building where it was light, we had more room than we needed, but it didn't take us long to fill it either, I must admit. We moved pretty quickly. So then, we weren't doing this for 5 years. So, so we did talk to the landlord, and we were able to negotiate at least 15 years to start with. And then the retrofits had to happen, right? So the landlord said, who's going to be your project manager, right? And I said, I am. You are? Okay. And so a month or so later, he came back. I see why you're the project manager.
Look at my track record.
You're getting snipped on, that kind of thing. But we were able to get so much in kind. Yeah. That we were, and we had some money in the bank and whatever, that it was just like a miracle kind of thing. That we opened the place in September of 24, and it's such a positive environment to go into now. Before we were on top of each other. I mean, we get, after Diaporama, we'd be stocking them in people's office and whatever, Now we have the place for it and so on.
The holiday drive at the old location is just
just unbelievable. Okay, couldn't do anything else because we had all these baskets and whatever. But we have a great grant writer, Karen, who got us a grant to make the unit accessible, and we've been doing it right now. The big ramp that comes down, and we just waiting for the railing to be installed. We could never have afforded that on our own, and the landlord wasn't going to do it. Okay, so wait till you see it in a couple of weeks with the railing. It has made food delivery, because we deliver every month to all kinds of mums. It's shortened it by, instead of an hour and something, it's 20 minutes.
Yes.
Because it's rolling down the ramp and because there's no no back door to the place. That was the other disadvantage. But we figured we could cope with that one.
Yeah. It's amazing, how, kind of all the stars align, right? Where you think about your full career and where that led to, and, building 36 schools and everything that got learned there to then, being a part of Rose of Sharon and then going through this process too, and being able to kind of help with that whole thing, and everything just lines up to be where it needs to be, right? To make it happen.
Yeah.
It had been pretty special on September 24 of like opening it.
Oh, like the young moms were just like beside themselves. Okay. And, seriously, I mean, and we have lockers for them and the whole thing. It's just, and we're able to now have partnerships with other communities who can use our facility, to, do some workshops and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, it works out really well for the community.
Yeah.
For sure.
I want to talk about community because you have a unique perspective where you've kind of been part of it in a couple different lanes, right? I think of kind of the education side of it, right? And then now charitable kind of organizations. What do you think? How do you think about community? What are some people missing about community? Anything, like when you hear community, what comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I think being part of a community, I think is your ability to share whatever experience and talents that you have for the betterment, for the common good. Okay, and so I think, and I've always tried to do that as a director as well. Ensure that people could contribute their talents and whatever. People miss out if they don't take part in community events or share. They miss out. Okay, like. As much as there's no remuneration for any of this that you're doing, you don't want it. Okay, it's just exciting getting to know new people that you're working with in a different community and that kind of thing. That's the value of it. That's the richness of it is working with other people and getting to know them.
Yeah, it's something that we see all the time with neighbor media, right? Where if you're looking for a way to fill your own cup, like go out there and get involved in the community of whatever, drives you or you're interested in or you don't know, just get out there too. Like it will be one of the most beneficial things for your own personal life. So be selfish and go out there and get involved in the community, right? And that's a good way to fill your cup.
Yeah, some people are worried about the fact that, if I get on, I volunteer for this or I get on to this board or something, they're going to ask me to do too much or whatever. When you're in this situation where you've retired from your career, you can say yes and no the way you want to say yes and no. If you want to get really involved, get involved. If not, say no.
Yeah.
But get involved. I mean, get with people. There's nothing like when no one's walking through your house to say hello to you every day.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you need to get out there and do things, whether it's a sport. I mean, I took up tennis after retirement. My husband and I play tennis. Okay. Yeah. So never played before.
Yeah.
But it's fun. You get to know different people and improve your skills and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a message that I keep harping on more and more, which, when you go out and you get involved and you meet people that are not in your normal circle in everyday life, and it's not just work or family, right? It's these other ways, and just the relationships that get built in that environment are completely different and so beneficial for a long, long list of reasons, right?
Did you ever, meet someone and you're interacting with them, whether it's at a club or an activity or something, and you happen to say, "So what'd you do for a career?" And you're astonished. Really? That's what you did?
Yeah.
Like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, no idea.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, really.
Yeah.
What keeps you motivated today, right? You've done a lot, you've accomplished a lot, you continue to do it, right? I mean, I know we just talked about it, go ahead and fill your cup, but you could pack it in and be like, I did it. I put my dent in the universe, right? Like for all these list of reasons. What's keeping you motivated now?
I grew up in a family where my dad was a very generous man. Okay, we had, as I mentioned, a couple of grocery stores and whatever, and I saw him be generous to people who couldn't afford the groceries. On Saturday night at 6:00, we'd put stuff out in the back of the store, and we knew who was coming to pick it up. And I just felt that I was lucky enough to have a fairly successful career. I want to give back, okay? And I want to help people that, are struggling, whether it's, financially or otherwise. But it motivates me. I mean, I'm a real sucker for, when a charity sends me an email or something, I try to monitor all that I do, but still, it motivates me, period, to be generous.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We are lucky to have you in our community. It was great to get to know you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a joy speaking with you this morning.
Okay, thank you.